Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time you end up watching this with me. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Look, my tea mug matches my shirt. I didn't do that on purpose, but I feel really special because it matches. All right, I look a little tired. We went to the beach last night. It was awesome. It was a totally clear sky and just a little teeny tiny sliver of the moon. It was so beautiful. And I love that I have a partner who is so spontaneous and says, let's go to the beach spontaneously at 9 or 10 o'clock at night so that I'm tired the next day, but I love it. So let's get into this. Are you fulfilling your purpose? Are you tired of your crappy old job that doesn't pay you well and you aren't living in your gifts and talents? What are your gifts and talents? Do you want to thrive, not only just making a living, but doing your gifts and talents and living in abundance? I definitely wanted to do that. and, it takes a lot of courage to get there, but it's not a hard thing to do. So, good morning. Thank you for joining me. So, am I fulfilling my purpose is a question that keeps people up at night. It's probably about as familiar as the who am I question. We ask ourselves, I don't know about you guys, but evidently all people ask themselves this. So if you're asking yourself, who am I? Like, what do you look in the mirror and go like, who are you? I definitely do that sometimes. Because when we're unsure about who we are or we're unsure about what our gifts are, we definitely crave that fulfillment, that happiness. It's this craving, it's a longing, because we are given natural gifts and talents and we aren't living in them. That can be really painful. And I think the reason that we have this problem is because in the American school system, it's actually set up to make sure that all kids are learning very basic tools like reading, math, science, language arts, that kind of thing. But due to the way that we've set it up with testing and wanting everybody to all make sure that all the kids are all learning the same thing and whatever, we've gotten rid of some of these really cool things like the arts, like photography, art, wood shop, physical education, critical thinking, music, band, chorus. They call them specials or they call them electives. And then our parents tell us things like, well, do you want to be a rich lawyer or do you want to be a starving artist? Right? And so not only are we taught in school that these aren't necessarily beneficial um, places to put our efforts and talents and gifts because we're not going to actually make any money, but then our parents and society reinforces that. So, in order to live a life of an artist or something like that, you get to be really brave. Ooh, it's going to rain. I don't know if you guys can hear that thunder. So I think the country as a whole has devalued all of these arts and some of our God-given talents. And then I think also, like I said, I think our parents reinforce that. So I actually just saw this really funny Facebook post this morning, which I'm going to put in the blog of this video on the Heather Hundhausen webpage, that said something like, why didn't we learn how to do our taxes in school or how to balance our checkbook or how to buy a home? Right? What good questions. Why didn't we learn that stuff in school? You don't realize it while you're in school, but when you're an adult, you're like, man, nobody taught me how to buy a home. Nobody taught me that I should ask for a um, good faith estimate, right? Why don't we learn what a good faith estimate is in school? The only reason I know about that is because I'm buying a home right now and I have all these wonderful people in my life going, did you get a good faith estimate? Hey, send me your inspection report. Hey, did you make sure that you have the wind mitigation or whatever, like I didn't know about any of this stuff. How come we don't learn this in school? Good questions, right? And there, there's people who love these jobs. There's people, my best friend was an accountant for many years, and you should hear her talk about balancing budgets and spreadsheets. I mean, like she just gets so excited about it. But we didn't learn about that in school. So how would you know that you love balancing budgets and worksheets if you never got the opportunity to do that in school? Like, where are you going to learn? And how are you going to know that that's what you want to go study even in college? Because we didn't learn it in high school. So anyway, I don't really want to get on a soapbox about the school system being a mess. That's not what I'm here for today. But I just want to set up the framework, or really like the blueprint. We're operating out of these blueprints, and one of the blueprints is don't use your gifts and talents. Don't use your natural gifts and talents. So we actually have limiting beliefs telling us not to use our gifts and talents. And did you know that there's at least 8 different kinds of intelligence? There may even be 10, depending on which research you're looking at. I definitely didn't know that. And it's not just verbal and mathematical. There's all of these different kinds of intelligences. And we don't learn anything about how to increase our intelligences. Like, for instance, did you know that there was an interpersonal intelligence? Did they teach us anything about social sciences in, elementary school or high school or middle school? I don't remember learning anything about interpersonal sciences then. What about musical, rhythmic, and harmonic intelligence? Did you know that's actually an intelligence? How about your naturalist intelligence? I didn't even know that was a thing. Did you even know that was a thing? People actually have the ability to like look at plants and fauna and birds and whatever and be like, oh, that's this kind of a herb, and that's this kind of a plant. Like, they have that as a natural ability. They're like fascinated by it, right? So IQ could be anything from I'm good at math, or I'm really good at reading, all the way to I'm really good at interpersonal skills, or I'm really good at looking at plants and knowing what kind they are. Like, there's so many different kinds of intelligences, and you have these gifts inside of you. I don't know if you have those gifts, but you definitely have gifts, because each one of us was put here with a purpose. And I say all the time, my mission as a coach and a healer is to bring your gifts out. That's the whole point of what I do, because I think if you're living in your gifts and I'm living in my gifts and everybody's living in your gifts, that's actually what's going to create world peace. Because then people are fulfilled and they're happy and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's actually incredibly fulfilling. I think I've mentioned to you guys before, when I had surrender flu 2018, that's what I call it, because it was like the worst flu I've ever had. I couldn't even get out of bed. I still wanted to do work because I live in my gifts. I live in my natural abilities. And when you live in your natural abilities, it's actually a lot of fun to work. So even with surrender flu 2018, I was still able to work and actually enjoy it. And the other day, it's so funny, I actually was feeling a little bit sick, and I was trying to play Sudoku, which I'm terribly addicted to right now. And I couldn't even play the Sudoku because it's not a natural gift for me. Math or numbers, they just that's a hard, challenging, the reason I like Sudoku is because I like accomplishing things. That's why I'm addicted to it. But it's definitely not the fact that it's math, or numbers. Because when I was sick, I was like, oh, I can't play Sudoku. But when I'm sick, I can still do interpersonal stuff, and I actually still like doing healing work. It's crazy. So when you're sick and you still like doing things, those are your natural gifts and talents. So see, being sick has benefits sometimes. So here's a couple examples of my natural talents I'm just going to share with you, because a lot of times we have these gifts inside of us, but you don't know what your natural gift is because it's so easy for you to do. You don't know it, and we're not taught this stuff in school, but it's inside of you, right? So for instance, I can hear a song and I can sing it back or play it on the piano. Like, after I hear it once, definitely after I hear it 3 or 4 or 5 times, I can easily play the whole thing back for you. I didn't know that was a gift because it just happens. It's not like I don't have to think about it. It's just like, I don't know, for me also it's effortless to be in conversation, but for some people, I just realized recently, some people actually can't hear the tone and then sing it back, or actually they can't find the rhythm. I was like, oh, can't you hear the rhythm? When she's like, da, 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 da. The person looked at me and was like, what? Like, how do you hear this behind all those long notes? Some people just don't hear that. That's not a natural talent for them. And that's when I start realizing, oh my gosh, this is a gift, and this isn't just something easy that everybody can do, right? For instance, I have a visual memory. So I can tell you what the sentence was on page 67 of the massage journal or whatever that I read. Or if you and I are having a conversation, I remember what we said if I can remember in my mind's eye what I was looking at or where we were. Isn't that crazy? So like I have a really strong visual memory, and I didn't realize that that was a gift either until I started doing this hypnosis and visualization work with people. And there's actually some people who can't imagine anything in their mind's eye. Okay, so that's a gift that I have. I can taste food out at a restaurant and then I can go home and recreate it. Who knew that that was a gift? I thought that, I mean, everybody eats, you know, isn't it easy for everybody to do? I have this like super powerful nose. I can smell things from a mile away. I'm like, do you smell that? You know, people are like, I don't smell anything. Good morning. So, you know, your gifts and your talents, they may be things that you don't even realize are easy and effortless for you, and frankly impossible for other people. So what's so easy for you but hard for somebody else? If you know your gifts, go ahead and type them in, because I'd love to see if, you know, as you're starting to think about this, maybe I am really good at looking at plants and differentiating them and remembering their names and knowing what soil they grow in. Like for me, I can't grow a basil plant. I drown them or I starve them to death. Like this is not a natural talent for me. This is something I have to really, yeah, Dagmar says she's logical, right? But for me, I have to like really concentrate hard. I have to read books, you know, and learn. Not taking care of the basil plant is not a natural talent for me. So, you know, I like to use metaphors for, this is the metaphor that I came up with. Okay, so imagine that you're on a train. Okay, so there's a train and it wants to go somewhere, and the tracks are already laid and it is moving. And once that train is full and it's moving and it's going to go, right? It's very hard to slow down a train or stop a train, or it's almost impossible to make a train go in the direction that there's no tracks, right? The train is going to follow the tracks, right? Are you guys getting where I'm going with this? So if there's a train full of people and there's tracks and they want to get to, let's say they want to get to Cleveland, but there's no tracks that go to Cleveland, so they got to go to Detroit. I don't even know if Cleveland and Detroit are close to each other. That's not a, if that's a natural gift, I don't have that one, right? But there's, those tracks haven't been laid yet to Cleveland, right? Is that what I said? So here's the thing. Are you willing to stop the train, get off the train, lay the tracks to Cleveland, and then get back on the train and start it heading down towards Cleveland? Like a lot of people aren't necessarily willing to invest in themselves in that way. A lot of people just take the train to Detroit and then, I don't know, rent a car and figure out how to get over to wherever the other place I said was. Can't keep it straight in my mind, right? So like city A and city B, right? The track is going, the train tracks are laid already to city B, but you want to go to A. So for instance, you know, there's already, that train is barreling down the track and it's got schedules and finances and deals that need to be made and that need to be met. And they don't see the possibility of taking the time to get off the train and set tracks in a new direction. Too many people get on the train. They get out of college, they get on the train and they go on the track this way, and they don't think to themselves, I could get off the train and build tracks going a different way, and actually this is the path that's going to, you know, bring me fulfillment and happiness. So, you know, I don't know why people do that. I think they think it's, maybe it's too cumbersome, or maybe they don't have the confidence to do it. But you know, if you think about it, this would be a new path for everyone. This would be everybody on the train, and all the goods on the train would get to go this way instead of everybody having to go that way all the time. So sometimes it's really worth it to get off the train and lay the tracks to the new destination, because it's going to actually benefit everybody that wants to go in this new way. For instance, if I hadn't stopped and got off of the train tracks that I was on 5 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this with you today. You know, I stopped and I reevaluated everything that I was, all of my gifts, all of my talents, and everything that I had learned up to that point. And I was finally confident enough, because I had learned self-love and I had learned to trust myself and I had learned confidence. And I had learned that I was ready to get off of this train and lay brand new tracks. And I was willing to take my master's in mental health, which was this track. And I was willing to take the hands-on body work that I'd been doing for, I don't know, 15, 20 years at that point, which was another track. and build a whole new track. And it's funny because my school, like we said at the beginning of this talk, was like, you can't do that. You're not allowed to lay hands on people you do therapy with. And in massage school, they were like, you can't do therapy with people you lay hands on. And I was like, but it doesn't make any sense because I have all this training and I have all this knowledge and I know I can do this and I know it's going to be really beneficial for people. So I started experimenting and my friends were like, this is amazing. You need to do this for everyone. This is such powerful work. So I combined it, I combined the kinesthetic body work, what's going on in your body. I mean, these are the 10 buckets, right? What's going on in your body, what's going on in your mind and your thoughts, what's going on in your blueprint, your inner child, your self-care, your self-love, right? This is all body work, kinesthetic work, spirituality, emotional work, and mental work all in one. And then we take it out into the world and do relationships with our significant other, our children, our work relationships. And we start looking at our relationship with our divinity, and here we are at number 10, which is, I know my gifts and talents. I have strengthened my inner world so strongly, and I've strengthened my relationships in my outer world so strongly that I can actually take this jump and live in my purpose. I have a client, with us right now watching. Dagmar says she's hearing her father's voice right now. And so for those of you who just joined us, if you want to put what your natural gifts and talents are that maybe you didn't learn in school, but they're your natural gifts and talents because they're easy and effortless for you and they're not for other people, put it in the comments because we want to hear about that. So here we are now, and I'm doing this work where I am touching people and I'm doing psychotherapy and I'm doing emotional release work and I'm doing spiritual work, and it's all one thing. And I realize this stuff cannot be divided up, even though school tells me it should all be divided up, right? So I figured out how to put all my gifts and talents together to forge a new path, a new train track of body-mind therapy. Good morning. Dagmar's hearing her father's voice say, you are just mediocre. Yeah, you're not mediocre, right? If I can hear a song and I can sing it back and I can play it, a lot of people can't do that. That's not mediocre. And for many years, I thought it was mediocre, that I can taste food and I can go home and I can recreate it. That's not mediocre. That's a special gift. That's a special talent. What are yours? What are your special gifts and talents? Cassandra says, I've unleashed hers. She has literally unleashed herself. It's really incredible to see her stepping into her gifts and her talents and watching the profound, like we're saying, this train had all these people, they all wanted to go this way. Cassandra got off the train, just like I got off the train, and she built her own thing. And people are going with her, and it's amazing. It's amazing when you follow your gifts and your talents and you build your own thing and people want to go with you. And the fun part is, people kept telling me if I was doing this body-mind therapy, that other people must be doing it. And I had a hard time believing that there could possibly be other people who were doing what I was doing because I never learned it in school. We never learned somato-emotional release in school. How could anybody else be doing that, right? Then a few years later, when I started building these tracks, I realized there was other people building these tracks, so much so that they had written books and books and books about it, had theories about it, and some of them even had trainings and research on it. And so I said, well, man, I want to learn that, right? So now I'm learning from other people who are in the same gifts and talents as me. It's so exciting, right? It's so fulfilling. So, I have 5 little quick tips here. How do you live in your purpose? 1, you love yourself enough to give yourself permission to do what you love, right? So a lot of us are blocked in many ways, many chakras blocked, and it's hard to actually access that self-love. We've got these blueprints that are working against us. In school, we never learned somato-emotional release. We never learned tantra. We never learned whatever it is that are natural, how to recreate the food that you ate at dinner last night. We didn't learn that in school, right? But these are gifts and talents, and they're like awesome. And when you forge a path in your direction, people follow you. Last night I went to Bubbles and Pearls. My girlfriend Josie is an amazing artist chef at food, amazing. And I went there and I had something new last night. I was like, oh my God, this is not only so good, I'm gonna order it again. I'm gonna tell everybody else they gotta go, right? She got off the train, she forged a path. I am on her train now. I am going where she's cooking because the freaking food is amazing, you know? So that's number one. Number two, acknowledge your gifts. What are your gifts? Write them in the comments. Like, take action now. Write them in the comments. What are your gifts? Put them, write them down, because if you start acknowledging yourself, other people, you know, the word, when you speak the word, that's the power of manifestation. You write the word, that's just as powerful. What are your gifts? What comes so easily and naturally to you, and allow yourself to acknowledge that you can do things better than others. Like, okay, yeah, I can sing better than others. Most of the time, the running conversation in my mind is, I can't sing. Because I have this natural gift and talent, I hear everything. Then I hear myself and I'm like, oh God, that's terrible compared to these superstars, you know? But if I compare myself to 100% of the population, like, I sound pretty good, right? Allow yourself to acknowledge that you have a gift. And then do your gift. That's number three, use your gift. Even if you're using them in your current totally crappy, sucky job that you're not getting paid enough in, right? Start using your gifts and your talents. Figure out what they are and start using them, or use them after work, you know, do them as a hobby. Just get into that space of doing what you love. Cassandra says, mine was sexual freedom, and now I teach others sexual freedom. Right? Do we learn that in school? No, we do not. You know, we learn, I mean, I'm not even allowed to talk about sexual freedom on YouTube or Facebook, or like, God forbid I put anything about sex. Like, this video probably now is going to get taken down because I said that word. You know, we're definitely not taught in school. We're definitely not taught it at home. We're definitely not taught it in church, right? But Cassandra's managed to figure out how to access her own sexual freedom, and she's teaching it to other people. And I mean, the results are profound, because so much of our confidence is resting there in our sexuality. So much of our appeal, you know, they call it sex appeal, right? Our interaction with others, so much of it has to do with our sexuality, but we are not taught that in school, right? If anything, you're taught, don't do that, right? So let's see what else. Number four, don't be scared, right? I mean, that would be something to be scared of. Be confident in your gifts. Learn more about your gifts. I promise you, if you're doing it, someone else is doing it. Even though I was like, there's no way anyone else is doing somato-emotional release. I'm the only one who has my master's in mental health and my license in massage therapy. Like, that's ridiculous. Lots of people have that, and there's a lot of people studying this stuff too. It's a very, very exciting field for me. So whatever it is for you, I mean, in Cassandra's world, like, Cassandra, can I share about, I mean, she was raised in a religion that was like, you know, we don't talk about this at all. So for her to not be scared and to learn to be confident, and to, you know, that there's even such a thing as sexual expression, right? Very, very foreign. Yes, exactly. She said, I got it exactly. So, you know, and now it's like, wow, not only is there a thing that's sexual expression, but I can do it, I have it, I'm good at it, and I can teach others. Like, wow. And guess what? Other people are doing that. We just don't hear about it so much. Or maybe we've heard about it a little bit here, but we definitely didn't learn about it in school or from our parents or from church or whatever your religion is, you know? And then number five, don't be afraid to forge a new path. Don't be afraid to get off the train and set some new tracks down. It may take time, it may take money, it may be a huge investment of time and money and effort and energy and blood and sweat and tears. And I mean, I've watched Cassandra do it. I've personally done it. Dagmar knows what I'm talking about. Whoever else is here with me, you're probably here because you know what I'm talking about. Or you want to get off the train and you want to forge your own new path because you can feel it. Like, you know, the music inside of me and the desire to be a healer. Like, I shaved the side of my head because in my mind's eye, I see myself as this like shaman woman. And I haven't completely even tapped into it yet because I'm still sort of up here stuck in the intellectual thing. But this weekend, Mike was like, I wish someone could just take my soul and rip it out of my body and I could have like a restart. I go, get on the table. And I set a bunch of candles and pink Himalayan salt lamps and incense, and I went crazy. And I was like wishing I had one of those things that was like, and I could imagine myself with this like crap all draped over me with feathers in my hair. And like, I don't even know where this image was coming from. But I turned all the lights out, and he's so great. He goes, can you just please don't hurt me? And I was like, no, I promise I'm not going to hurt you. Like this is healing, you're not going to hurt anybody healing. But I mean, I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I could tell there was this spot down in his guts that needed this reverberation, this vibration. And I didn't know how to make my body or my voice do it, but I was like, oh, I'm like literally trying to like resonate his body to a new level. And he was laughing at me because I don't know what I'm doing, but it was so much fun to play and to practice. And like, this is what I'm talking about. Don't be afraid to tap into that stuff that's inside of you that like brings you a lot of fulfillment and joy, even though it may seem totally crazy. Like, I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm a witch from the 13th century I feel like I'm gonna get burned at the stake for the stuff that I think. Like this morning, my hormones have been off and I was like, I need some black cohosh tea. I made myself I'm a little weird, right? But I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to be a little bit weird. Being a little bit weird can make you a lot of money. So go ahead and be weird. So that's it, y'all. If you are having trouble with any of this, if you're having trouble loving yourself, if you're having trouble with your confidence, if you don't know what your gifts are, if your like chakras aren't open enough to know what your gifts are, come and work with me. If you have an idea, but the blueprint is so strong that you hear your parents or your school or whatever saying, no, you don't want to be a starving artist, but you're a freaking artist, call me, okay? Like, let's do some work. We can actually reprogram that stuff, and it works. Ask Cassandra. I know it works because it's worked for me. And I know it works because it's worked for a lot of clients. You get to access some bravery. There's this, I don't know if you saw my blog post about somato-emotional release and resistance. I think it was called something about your ego is getting in your way. But we all have this resistance, is trying to keep us small and is trying to keep us safe. And it tells us, no, this is really scary. I don't want to be in my gifts and my talents because I have to get off the train that I'm comfortable being on, and I have to do all this hard work. I have to lay new tracks. Are you kidding me? I don't have the energy or the effort or whatever. Meanwhile, your spirit's going, please, I want the new path, So I see it all the time in the body work. Someone will say, oh, there's like chains on my jaw. And I'll say, okay, do you want to take the chains off? And they're like, no, and I'm like, okay, well, we won't take the chains off, but let's imagine that the chains came off. Then what would you have? And they're like, oh, I'd have freedom of self-expression. And I'm like, oh, well, by all means, let's leave the chains on. You know what I mean? It's like, and then the person on the table realizes, like, why won't I take the chains off so I can have freedom of self-expression? But like, there's a part of you going, no, don't take the chains off, And when I'm giggling about it now, because when you get to that point with yourself, you realize, like, what am I doing? Why am I holding myself back? Why am I holding myself so small? Don't I want freedom of expression? Don't I want to live in my gifts and talents? Don't I want to make a freaking lot of money doing what I love? Like, yeah, who doesn't want that, right? So anyway, if you want that, and if you're not living it, get in touch with me, because I actually know how to break you through that. It's a very, very cool experience, and I think it's a lot of fun. While you're going through it, it may not be so fun, but when you're done with it, it's like super fun. You know what it's like? It's like, have you ever had a really, really deep tissue massage? I'm laughing because I met this guy at a networking event recently, and he was like, oh, everybody goes to see Linda. And I'm like, well, what's the deal with Linda? He goes, oh, well, you know how you can like throw your back out when you yell at the television because you're watching a football game. You know, he goes, at our age, you know, we don't throw our back out because we picked up a box the wrong way. We throw our back out because we yelled at the television. He goes, anyway, I threw my back out and I went to see Linda. He goes, and I felt like I lost a fight. You know, he goes, but my back felt better. So, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's like sometimes you gotta lose the fight in order for your back to feel better. You gotta really get the crap beat out of you in order to get things realigned. And sometimes that's what this feels like. But at the end of it, you're like, oh man, my back feels so much better. So if you're up for that journey, if you want to live that life of like, wow, I'm really living in my gifts and it's very, very fulfilling. I've done it. I know how to help you do it. Reach out to me. All right. So you can book a breakthrough session right there on my blog. Or if you're on my YouTube channel, you can follow that through to the blog also. So, or just to my website, which is Heather Hundhausen. So I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you for joining me today. I really want you to live in your gifts and your purpose, because like I said, when you are, I think that's what's going to cause peace on the planet. Everybody's doing what they love and making a lot of money doing it. Like, can you imagine what that world would look like? If you're enrolled in that world, give me a thumbs up, like the video, or leave a comment telling me what your vision is and if it's in alignment with mine. All right, so I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a fantastic week and spend some time in your purpose, in your gifts, and in your calling. All right, bye guys.